Well, first of all, thank you to everyone at the Belvedere for hosting us and for hosting the last 7 of these conversations. I really appreciate it, and also am grateful to be part of a global representation of exploring this idea. What I'm presenting today is from the perspective of the US, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about deepfake-based work from 2018 at a point where deepfakes and machine technology and deep learning was in a different state. So I thank you for coming. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. This Person Does Not Exist offers a refreshable, seductively realistic, steady supply of digitally amalgamated images of fictional people who never existed. Built from an unknown number of Flickr photographs gleaned from the open archives of the internet and assembled within a split second by an algorithm, these photographically hyper-realistic images enjoy the appearance of visual exactitude and truth, yet are framed as synthetic products generated at the flick of a refresh button by artificial intelligence. Like other images assembled using AI algorithms and general adversarial networks, or GANs, This Person Does Not Exist is known as a deepfake generator. This Person Does Not Exist in its spin-offs, which include This Airbnb Does Not Exist, These Cats Do Not Exist, This Waif Does Not Exist.net, and The Startup Does Not Exist, are among many applications that create AI-made images and videos so seemingly realistic using an archive of materials that sometimes are indistinguishable from actual video clips and photographs of real subjects. For that reason, deepfakes have the capacity to confuse and/or deceive uninitiated audiences. Some deepfakes, photographs, videos, and hybrid products of both media provide seemingly harmless entertainment, such as face swap applications. Trey Parker and Matt Stone and their satirical 2020 YouTube show Sassy Justice. They might even make history accessible to new museum audiences, such as AI Mona Lisa, the living portrait of Albert Einstein, and the subject of my study today, Salvador Dalí Lives. For this reason, the American Alliance of Museums declared deepfakes and immersive storytelling to be integral to the future of museums, as exemplified by its use of the Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia, the Vatican Secret Archives, the U.S. National Soccer Hall of Fame, the Art Institute of Chicago, and its discussion in the 2018 Museums and New Intelligences Conference, and this one as well. However, other deepfakes, including those that feature falsified and revenge pornographic videos, have prompted humiliation and defamation lawsuits and heightened concerns about the unrestrained circulation of online imagery and videos. In the US, the Congress has been endlessly mulling legislation, first introduced in 2018, to curb the use of deepfakes by the public. This technology, currently in its adolescence, I think, and growing more seamlessly in its veracity and capacity by the day, is also feared by many computer scientists and journalism scholars for its capacity to defame celebrities, public figures, everyday people too, and to sow political discord. It can even be used to create fake news, as a cautionary video clip created and voiced over by comedian Jordan Peele of former President Barack Obama calling Donald Trump a dipshit, circulated by BuzzFeed in April of 2018, was intended to attest. Journalism scholars have predicted that deepfakes could be used to weaponize and to manufacture evidence and incites world wars, manipulates elections, and intentionally deceives the public. This technology feeds pre-existing fears that we live in a digitally kindled, post-truth, fake news era of alternative facts and widespread information illiteracy. This presentation examines and contextualizes the integration of AI-generated, hotly debated deepfake technology as it enters museum spaces through the study of Dalí Lives, a 3-video installation of life-size digital Salvador Dalí effigies made using a relatively early form of AI deepfake face swap technology and displayed at the Dalí Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida. The Dalís and Dalí Lives are interactive. They announce their artifice by engaging in activities and trends telling of the digital facsimile's temporal positions in the 21st century. The Dalís read that day's Tampa's newspaper, comment on the weather, speak to audience about artworks, and guide museum visitors to a place to pee-pee, and ask them to take a selfie with him, which they can receive by text message, provided they opt to share their phone number. In the video installations, which were unveiled in what would have been the artist's 115th birthday on the 11th of May, 2019, the artist looks and sounds very similar to his appearance in historic and photographic footage, which was the AI technology's archival source material. The video Dalí is relatable and alive to museum visitors rather than being locked in a distant past. He holds a newspaper, and if it rains, he has an umbrella. He does not mind retaking a selfie to get it just right. And the digital Dalí happily texts you a copy of that photograph. A closer look at Dalí Lives allows for an exploration of the merits and, of course, also the potential risks of employing deepfakes in the art museum and the high stakes of bringing historical figures back to life using this controversial technology. The emergence of AI-driven images in historical arenas simply calls us to be mindful of ethics and archival fidelity, as it raises questions of what constitutes successful and unsuccessful integrations of AI into museum practices. Dalí once mused about his own inevitable death, and I quote, if someday I may die, though it is unlikely, I hope the people in the cafes will say, Dalí has died, though not entirely, end quote. As if to prove the truth in those words, 30 years after his death, 3 life-size video-bound Dalís created for the Dalí Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida, by a collaboration of curators and staff at the San Francisco-based advertising firm Goodby, Silverstein and Partners, or GSMP. The project began as a conversation between friends Frank Hine, executive and creative director at the Dalí Innovation Labs, and Jeff Goodby, museum trustee and co-founder of GSMP. The intention of the project, according to a press release statement by Hine, was to use technology to, perhaps ironically, make Dalí more human, and I quote, if visitors can empathize with this man as a human being, then they can relate to his works much more directly and much more passionately. It's a special entry into Dalí's spirit, allowing visitors to engage with the artist in a completely revolutionary way, and I end quote. This special entry into Dalí's spirit occurs through the installation of 3 6-foot rectangular video screens at different points of the museum. One is placed near the entrance to greet visitors, another in the galleries, and the last one is located at the end of the visitor's visit. Each features a life-size or slightly larger than life-size color facsimile of Dalí, who engages with the viewer as they push a button to summon him. Activation of the videos thus interactive and lends the viewer the agency to initiate their interactions with Dalí or not. And Dalí might comment on the weather, read the paper, or be doing other things like painting when viewers approach the video screen. In all, GSMP's staff created thousands of different combinations of interactions with Dalí, so that conceivably a viewer could revisit the museum multiple times for an entirely different experience. To make the videos in 2018, a suited actor played the body of Dalí after learning Dalí's expressions and physical mannerisms from watching archival video footage provided by the museum. That actor lip-synced to an audio recording of Dalí's voice, also provided by a voice actor who studied archival footage and worked from a script crafted in the 21st century by the ad agency's copywriters. A sophisticated version of a face swap application superimposed Dalí's actual features over the face of the actor after a computer studied the features of more than 6,000 frames of portraits of the artist over 1,000 hours. Then The artificial intelligence algorithm had learned Dalí's face and superimposed it over the actor's own face. Creating the audio track for Dalí Lives was more challenging. AI voice synthesis by applications such as Lyrebird back in 2018 were not as seamless and well-developed as face swapping technology, according to Nathan Shipley, who was the key creator of Dalí Lives. And I quote, "It still just sounds sort of robotic. In a short time, this has come a long way, but it just sounds a little bit like telephone quality. That would have worked with the right sort of constraints. Imagine we wanted it to look like an old film or something, and the sound is supposed to sound old, but that's not what we were doing," end quote. After more than 300 voice actor auditions worldwide, a voice actor with a flair for Dalí's unique Spanish accent was casted, and he patiently read GSMP's scripts, which were written often containing Dalí's words, or at least the spirit of them. That actor added the audio track, which sometimes needed to be re-recorded to better match the lip synchronization of the other actor during a stage of meticulous sound engineering trials to match the deepfake Dalí's voice with the visual footage. The result is over 45 minutes of new footage from the reimagined Dalí, spanning 125 videos for thousands of combinations. The installations are seamlessly executed from the viewer's viewpoint. There are no apparent flaws in the face swap and voice synchronization. The neo-surreal illusion is complete. While deepfake technology helped a body actor wear the digitally constructed face of Dalí, and a voice actor helped give this deconstructed Dalí agency, a team of Dalí Museum's curators and GSMP copywriters collaborated on scripts for the various possible viewer encounters. Both GSMP and the Dalí Museum wanted the words spoken by this virtual Dalí to be true enough to his character, yet false enough not to mislead audiences into thinking that Dalí Lives was an actual collage of actual archive footage. And I quote, "To create the content, we reviewed sources of his writings, videos, and correspondence from the Dalí Museum library and previous years of research, sharing those with GSMP to collaboratively write authentic feeling scripts," end quote, according to Kathy Greif, Chief Operating Officer of the Dalí Museum. She continues to describe the delicate dance between achieving fidelity to the archive and digital creation, and the digital creation that drove these installations. And I quote, "The vast majority of the things that the reimagined Dalí says are actually said or wrote. But we didn't want to confuse audiences as much as we didn't want them to feel like it's really Dalí. We needed them to understand that it's not archival video footage, but an AI version of Dalí. When he mentions the weather or the day of the week or reads from the local newspaper, we are able to reinforce this duality," end quote. As Greif mentions, this decision was driven by an impulse to be transparent about the artifice of the deconstruction of Dalí. But another part was purely practical. Very little archival footage of Dalí exists of him speaking in English. Despite its departures from archival fidelity, the AI version of Dalí sought to be a likeness that accurately represents the artist, but that could show his personality in a way that perhaps a dearth of raw footage might. Greif explains that this part of the museum's strategy to connect with viewers is a very forward-thinking thing, and I quote, "The advance of technology and its use in museums, coupled with the ways that visitors want to consume art, have evolved, which pushes us to continually explore new engaging experiences for the current and next generation of museum goers. It's our belief that forward-thinking museums must create a multitude of experiences for their viewers, from didactic texts on gallery walls and self-guided audio tours to engaging docent tours, plus meaningful, innovative experiences, including those in digital platforms that delight viewers and complement the artists and their work," end quote. The Dalí Museum was a trendsetter among museums in 2019 when it came to adopting digital technology and inviting AI-based cutting-edge contemporary trends such as AI deepfakes and virtual reality in their institutions. This is the third digital collaboration between the Dalí and GSMP. The pairing introduced the interactive installation Gala Contemplating You as part of a 2014 exhibition, which turned a visitor's selfie into a projected replica of Dalí's 1976 painting, Gala Contemplating the Mediterranean Sea, which at 20 meters becomes the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, homage to Rothko. In 2016, they partnered again to create Dreams of Dalí, a virtual reality experience that transports viewers into Dalí's 1933 painting, Archaeological Reminiscence of Malay's Angeles, as they wear virtual reality devices in the gallery or at home using their own VR devices. These installations became part of the museum's collections as artworks. To continue hosting their collaborations, which have been intensely popular with visitors, the museum has planned to expand by about 20,000 square feet to host more, and I quote, digitally oriented presentations and educational programs that make use of augmented and virtual reality technologies, end quote. They cost $68 million. As of 2024, plans are moving forward with a fundraising campaign, and permission to build and expand has been granted. Despite the steep price tag of a digital investment, Brendan Cieco of the American Alliance of Museums suggests that institutions' embrace of technology has been especially important, or was, during the pandemic. He notes that, and I quote, museums with a thirst for immersive technology and deeper pockets have invested in virtual reality and artificial reality programming and exhibitions, end quote. I should mention that clearly the Dalí Museum is one of those deep-pocketed museums. Now, Brendan Cieco specifically mentions technology-enabled projects that have made collections more accessible during museum closures, such as the Smithsonian American Art Museum's Beyond the Walls project, the Louvre's Beyond the Glass, featuring the Mona Lisa, and the integration of Sketchfab 3D virtual reality, augmented reality, to allow viewers access to objects of curators' selection at the British Museum, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Cieco notes that finding a means to continue to connect with audiences who were in and out of lockdown was essential for museum survival, and now is for their financial catch-up. Institutions with a prior investment in technology and its importance to reach audiences have made this transition more seamlessly. As the American Alliance of Museums has suggested, art museum visitors have bifurcated interests in authenticity, or seeing the real thing, a masterwork display to contextualize with historical integrity, and being entertained by, and I quote, a compelling and memorable experience that can be shared with friends and family, end quote. The AAM poses the possibility that the actual physical experience with the artworks cannot be replicated by digital technology. Through engagement, learning, and synthesis, it can be encouraged. In her conclusion to the book Museums in a Digital Age, C.L. van der Acker suggests that, and I quote, digital technology enhances and extends the museum experience and function rather than replacing them with something else, end quote. This is to say, viewers of Dalí Lives knowingly experience a reconstructed false facsimile of the artist, and they can separate the historical information presented in these installations from its more entertaining features, such as the selfies that you see here. The deepfake Dalí's discussion of artworks, for example, assumes not only the artist's playful voice, which communicates a sense of his personality, but also provides a snappily written, compelling version of the character's narrative. Helpful information about finding restrooms and navigating the museum, and a map and finding a helpful security guard also are presented. Taking selfies, speaking of the weather, talking about the day's newspaper reminds us that this Dalí operates in an imaginary temporal space of today. While this kind of interaction with the actual artist would not be possible for an artist who died in 1989, the museum provides a fittingly surreal digital reincarnation of Dalí, who fulfilled his own wishes to live forever thanks to a deepfake technology. It functions in some ways like an artwork. Part of the seduction of Dalí Lives is the video's reimagining of the artist's personality for many viewers who may not have been alive when the artist was. Could archival footage have accomplished the same with equal viewer engagement? Typically displayed in a side alcove or small gallery with seating, videos offer a passive rather than active or interactive experience for viewers. But with Salvador Dalí Lives, when experienced within a face-to-face gallery, viewers initiate interaction with the digital Dalí, whose attention and demeanor feels personal and focused on the viewer. Sharp script writing and seamless visual and technological execution makes an engagement with the deepfake Dalí feel like an actual conversation, even though the viewer is conscious that what they experience is a digital facsimile from the 21st century. This is the desired effect, to be real without being actual. Dalí Lives in that sense, evokes the archive and its authority, but not its stiffness or its rooting in a dry and distant past. Thank you.